R. Kelly recently suffered an overdose due to a reported error by prison staff involving his medication. As unbelievable as it sounds, the details surrounding this incident raise serious concerns.
Okay, so this news is actually breaking right now. Shout out to Baller Alert, who was the first outlet that we saw actually posted it. But last night, R. Kelly's team filed an emergency filing. I received the filing a little bit after midnight, so I believe that's why it's breaking right now, is because outlets are waking up. So in the emergency filing, they allege that R. Kelly was giving an additional dose of medication by prison staff, and they're alleging that because of that additional medication that he was instructed to take and that he actually took, he suffered a overdose.
I know what you're probably thinking. Did Kel's attempt to take his own life just to escape prison? Honestly, I had the same thought at first. Like many others, I'm skeptical when it comes to these kinds of institutional failures. But here's the issue. In prison, medication is strictly monitored. Inmates don't manage their own prescriptions. Officers personally hand the medication to the inmates and supervise them as they take it. They also control the dosage. That means R. Kelly wouldn't have been able to tamper with his meds or intentionally overdose. It just doesn't add up. Now, here's where things become more concerning. R. Kelly reportedly learned that Bureau of Prisons BOP officials were plotting against him just 3 days after he was given access to over 13,000 pages of records. Those documents allegedly identified officers who had unlawfully accessed his private information and leaked it to the media while he was incarcerated. That's a serious offense, and if proven true, those involved could face criminal charges. Then, just 3 days after reviewing that material, R. Kelly reportedly became aware of a plot to have him killed, one that allegedly involved inmates, being hired to carry it out. 2 days later, after sharing these concerns with the media, he suffered an accidental overdose. The incident occurred after a BOP officer administered a dose of medication that was, according to reports, far too high. At some point, we have to stop and consider the bigger picture. There seems to be something deeply troubling going on here, but it doesn't end there. After the overdose, R. Kelly was taken to a hospital where doctors discovered a condition that could have been life-threatening. Shockingly, prison officials reportedly refused to allow medical intervention, allegedly saying, "Let him die." If this account is accurate, it reflects an incredibly disturbing mindset.
So they say that R. Kelly woke up allegedly on June 13th and he felt faint. He was dizzy. He started to see black spots. He got up and he fell. He crawled to the door of the cell and he lost consciousness then. At that point, he was placed on a gurney. He was taken by ambulance to a nearby hospital because they tried to take him to the hospital inside of or associated with the facility that he's in, but they couldn't help him, so they took him to an outside hospital. In that outside hospital, on the way to that outside hospital, his team alleges that it was overheard someone in the ambulance from the hospital say, this is going to open a whole new can of worms. R. Kelly's legal team then alleges that once he got to the hospital, it was then revealed that he had been giving an overdose quantity of medicine. He was in the hospital for some days, and this was within 2 days of that original filing where his legal team is alleging that prison officials are trying to take him out of here. Now, they say in addition to this incident, this overdose, right, they're also pointing to the fact that R. Kelly allegedly has been asking for months to get some medical attention to a swollen leg. R. Kelly's legal team says that once he was taken to the hospital for this overdose situation, R. Kelly brought up the swollen leg, and they allege that doctors there then took a look at the swollen leg and they found blood clots in R. Kelly's right leg, allegedly, in his left leg, in his lungs, allegedly. And R. Kelly's legal team is saying that R. Kelly was then told he should stay 7 days in that hospital for surgery, and then it would be an additional 2 weeks because of whatever care they were going to need to give him. But his legal team alleges that once the prison was contacted, R. Kelly was then removed against his will by guards from the prison and was not allowed to be treated. And they are saying that basically this could kill him because of the blood clots and the care that they are alleging he is not receiving.
I understand this is a complex and uncomfortable situation. R. Kelly is widely regarded as a reprehensible individual. He's been accused of acts that no one in good conscience could defend. So, when you hear claims that people may be trying to expedite his death, whether intentionally or by negligence, it might not bother you. After all, he's accused of harming some of the most vulnerable members of society, and I get that. I'm not here to criticize anyone for having that opinion. Honestly, I probably feel the same way to an extent. Still, we can't ignore the possibility that something unethical may be happening behind the scenes. I've never heard of a prison telling medical professionals, this man might die, he has blood clots, but release him anyway. We don't want to treat him. That's alarming, especially following a suspected overdose and after accusations that someone tried to have him killed by hiring 2 inmates. At what point do we step back and ask, is there something in those 13,000 pages of documents that are Kelly obtained documents naming prison staff that people don't want made public? Let's not forget that the Washington Journal reportedly received R. Kelly's commissary data. Tasha K also published his emails, visitor logs, and call records. That exposure led to his girlfriend discovering he was involved with someone else, even from behind bars, and she ultimately testified against him. That happened because of those leaked records. So yes, there's clearly something suspicious here. There's a very real possibility that criminal misconduct occurred, allegedly involving over 60 correctional officers. If that's accurate, this could be one of the largest prison corruption scandals we've ever seen. Over 60 officers reportedly participated in stealing and distributing R. Kelly's private data to the media. And now that he finally has access to the documents exposing that network, we're suddenly seeing multiple threats to his safety. Now we're hearing he's got blood clots. Just let him go. Let him die. We're all aware of R. Kelly's serious charges and the deeply troubling history behind them. But regardless of who the person is, the question remains, does he not deserve due process? Doesn't the justice system still apply even in his case? I'm conflicted, honestly. If you told me this was about someone else, just a random person named John Doe, and that John Doe faced the same charges as R. Kelly, I know how I'd respond. I'd say, let him rot. I couldn't care less. If they tried to overdose him, do it again. That would be my reaction. So I recognize the contradiction in my own thinking. Maybe it's difficult to separate the emotional impact R. Kelly's music had from who he really is. And while I still believe he's a deeply flawed person and have very little sympathy for him, I can't say for sure that he deserves to die under suspicious or unlawful circumstances. I'm still struggling with it. I don't have any sympathy for someone who harms the most vulnerable in our society. But this situation is complicated.
Now, they do say that all of this can be proven. They say that the things with him getting to solitary confinement and taking that additional medicine allegedly will be on prison cameras. They say on prison cameras you will see R. Kelly arrive to solitary confinement. When you arrive there, because he takes medicines already for anxiety and sleep and other things, you have to show your medicine to guards, which they say is on camera. And then they say you will see the additional medicine being brought to R. Kelly on camera as well. And that the stuff at the hospital with the clots and not being treated, all of those accusations they say can also be proven via hospital records. So they filed this emergency motion trying to bring light to this to the same court that they are saying, hey, all this other stuff is happening. We're telling you he needs to be released because it is not
but
safe.
Why does R. Kelly and his team feel like the feds are trying to kill him? Because he's not coming out until what, December 21st, 2045. He received 30 years in federal prison. So why does he think they're killing him? What does R. Kelly know that makes the feds want to kill him?
So according to R. Kelly's legal team in the first filing, and they reiterated in this one, that whole plot to uncover the fact that there were things that were done wrong when it came to, remember I talked about like the flipping of the witnesses and all these things that they're alleging happened. Basically they're saying the government and the prison officials have been covering up the fact that they did whatever they needed to do to convict R. Kelly allegedly. And his new legal team, in trying to file for other things, discovered that and brought it in a plan to bring it to light, and they found out. So this is all a way to cover that up. That is what R. Kelly's team is alleging.
Is it just me, or wasn't there a videotape of R. Kelly having with an underage girl? Did we not all they're not arguing that did not happen, right? What they're arguing is
now, as far as the legal side goes, R. Kelly was charged once before for a similar incident and was acquitted, even though most people believe it was clearly him. The general consensus is that we know who was involved. So if R. Kelly were to die while incarcerated, I don't think the public would respond with much emotion. He hurt children. People aren't going to support that. No one's going to defend him. Still, that doesn't mean we should ignore what appears to be misconduct on the part of the prison system or government officials. This is bigger than R. Kelly. We should be able to view this separately from his personal crimes. The idea that correctional officers can access and steal private inmate data, sell it, and then use that data to manipulate a witness into testifying, that's a serious issue. And the fact that the identities of the officers involved were hidden for 4 years is even more concerning. Only after a prolonged legal fight did R. Kelly finally receive access to documents revealing who those officers were, how they accessed his information, and what exactly they did with it. But it's over 13,000 pages long. Now, either he or his legal team has to sift through all of it, and before they could even begin making real progress through the documents, IT looks like there may be an effort to harm him. We can absolutely call out the federal authorities if that's the case. But at the same time, because this involves R. Kelly, many people simply don't care what happens to him. They just want the federal system to be held accountable. Ideally, we'd be able to treat these issues separately. R. Kelly's personal actions on one side and potential government misconduct on the other. But for now, the two are connected. So, if the goal is to challenge misconduct by the federal system, then supporting R. Kelly's lawsuit might be the only way to do it. There's no easy workaround. If you want accountability from the authorities, you're essentially tied to R. Kelly's case is the vehicle for that. Maybe, in the end, R. Kelly successfully sues the federal government, exposes wrongdoing, and then later ends up harmed by another inmate. Perhaps some people would see that as a middle ground, I don't know. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Does R. Kelly still deserve fair treatment under the law? Or do you believe that once someone is convicted of such serious offenses, justice no longer applies? Share your views in the comments.